The Seattle Mariners tried to end a 20-year playoff drought today in Game 162 of the regular season. The Seahawks look to get back on track with a trip to the Bay and a date with their NFC West rivals. And it was ruckus en route. We'll recap a shootout between Eastern and Montana.
Live from the Northern Quest Sports Studio, SWX Tonight starts right now.
Biggest pitch of the year here for the Mariners. 3-2, bases loaded. Cishek, the pitch. Base hit left field. Here comes JP. Bauer scores. JP scores. Mitch Haniger. What a night. What a night.
Dave Sims of Root Sports is right. What a night it was Saturday for the Seattle Mariners. Welcome into SWX Sunday Night, everyone. I'm Joe McHale. Another come-from-behind win kept the Mariners' postseason hopes alive, entering today the final day of the 2021 Major League Baseball regular season. One more win with little help, and Seattle be guaranteed at least one more game. So, just for a refresher, this is what the wildcard standings looked like before any games were played today. Boston and New York had control of the two wildcard spots, with the Mariners and Toronto tied one game back. The Red Sox and Yankees controlled their own destiny. If they won today, they'd make the wildcard game. However, if they lost, things would get interesting. But first, the Mariners needed a win today. Seattle hosting the Angels in front of a sellout crowd at T-Mobile Park in Game 162. Trouble right off the bat. First batter of the game. Third pitch, Shohei Ohtani goes deep, and the AL MVP makes it a 1-0 game right away. More trouble in the second. David Fletcher up with the runner on, tucks it inside the bag and right or left. Another run comes in to score. Angels would jump out to a 4-0 lead. But the Mariners, they've been fighters all season. They wouldn't stop today. Jared Kelenic with a runner on third and second pulls a single into right field. The Mariners are on the board later in the inning. Kelenic now at second base. J.P. Crawford at the dish sends it right back up the middle, and the Mariners cut the lead in half. It's a 4-2 ball game. But 2 innings later, the Angels take over. Jared Walsh, a 2-run homer to right. That would make it a 6-2 ball game, and from there, it would be more or less all Angels. But one more thing you've got to see. In the 9th inning, manager Scott Service pulls longtime third baseman Kyle Seager from the ball game, allowing him to exit to an ovation that he has earned over his 10-year career with Seattle. Seager leaves the field in tears. His teammates getting emotional as well. His career in a Mariner uniform likely over, and what a career it was. It goes into the books as a 7-3 final score. The Mariners take the 2021 season down to the final day, but are eliminated in the loss to the Angels. They finished the season 90-72 record. Here's the team talking about the season and what lies ahead.
I'm not going to look back on this season with any sort of negativity. I mean, it was a special run we went on. It was a special group.
It's not going to be something I'll ever forget. And I hope that all those fans that came out, that's something that they don't forget either.
Baseball's back in Seattle. We didn't get over, like I said, we didn't get across the finish line, but I think everybody sees where we're headed, and I'm really excited to see that many people jump on the bandwagon with us.
So despite the loss, the Mariners didn't get the help around from the rest of the league, I should say, that they needed to have a chance. Remember, either the Yankees or Red Sox needed to lose to open the door. They both won. With that, Boston and New York will face off in the wild card game on Tuesday. So the season comes to an end for the Seattle Mariners, and while they missed the playoffs for now the 20th straight season, there was a lot for Mariner fans to cheer for throughout the year. Just looking at some of the numbers, the Mariners finished with 90 wins on the season. That's tied for 5th most in their 45-year history. It's the most wins for Seattle since they won 93 games back in 2003. They were one of the best teams in baseball after the All-Star break, going 42-29 in their furious chase of a postseason spot. And all year long, they were never out of a ball game, coming from behind to win 42 times this season. On offense, the Mariners were led by 2 of their veterans in Kyle Seager and Mitch Haniger. In what might be his final season of a great career in a Mariner uniform, Seager was better than ever. He had 35 home runs and drove in 101 runs, both career-high marks. As for Mitch Haniger, in a season that might have him win Comeback Player of the Year, hits 39 home runs and drove in 100, which were also career highs for him. The pair put themselves in the ranks of Mariner greats with their 2021 campaign. It's just the 7th time Mariner teammates have hit 35 or more home runs and driven in 100 runs or more. The first time since Nelson Cruz and Robinson Cano did it back in 2016. And you can see the names of the guys who did it in the late 90s and 2000. Haniger and Seager had a year to remember for sure. And the Mariners loved the long ball this year, specifically the Grand Slam variety. Seattle had 6 different players hit 4-run bombs, each one coming in high leverage situations. Just to remember a few, how about when Dylan Moore hit the Grand Slam against the Astros? That capped off a 7-run comeback en route to a Mariners win. Or earlier in the season in June when Shedlong Jr. smacked a walk-off salami to complete a 4-game sweep over the defending AL champion Tampa Bay Rays. Or how about just over a month ago when Abraham Toro and Kendall Graveman, who were traded for each other, faced off. Toro took the former Mariner deep for his first career Grand Slam, and Mitch Haniger, J.P. Crawford, and Jake Fraley also had Grand Slams this season. Let's go to the mound. The 2021 M's were led by Marco Gonzalez in his 4th full year with Seattle and Chris Flexen in his 1st. For Gonzalez, the former Bulldog started 25 games, went 10-6, and registered a sub-4 ERA for the 3rd consecutive season. And Flexen, in his 1st season as a full-time starter, led all Mariners starters in wins, ERA, and innings pitched. The rest of the Mariners starting rotation had the moments as well, even though he struggled mightily in the second half. Yusei Kikuchi was an all-star, the Mariners' lone representative at the Midsummer Classic in July. Rookie Logan Gilbert made his debut midway through the season and was great. His 128 strikeouts led all Mariners starters in strikeouts per 9 innings. And even though he didn't have his best stuff today, Tyler Anderson pitched well for Seattle after being acquired at the trade deadline, eating up innings and pitching well down the stretch. Without a doubt, though, the Mariner bullpen was one of the best in all of baseball this season. 6 Mariner relievers who were on the active roster to close the season had ERAs less than 4. Kendall Graveman was also lights out for the M's before being traded. And when it came time to close games down, the Mariners had not 1, but 3 reliable arms throughout the season. 3 different Mariners recorded 10 saves or more, which ties an MLB record. Drew Steckenrider had 14, Paul Sewald had 11, and Kendall Graveman, who was traded to Houston at the deadline, also had 10 saves. And while this season will be one Mariner fans remember for a long time, what lies ahead might be even better. Seattle has more young talent coming down the pipeline. Pitchers George Kirby and Emerson Hancock, Seattle's 3rd and 4th best prospects, are expected to make their major league debuts sometime in 2022. And Julio Rodriguez, the Mariners' top prospect and 2nd-ranked prospect in all of baseball, could also be with the big league club next year. They will join young talent like Logan Gilbert, J.P. Crawford, and Jared Kelenic. And remember, Kyle Lewis is still on this baseball team. And they've all had big leagues under their belts, big league time under their belts, I should say. Seattle also has money to spend in free agency this off-season. Mariners fans have plenty to look forward to in 2022. All right, moving along now to the NFL. The Seattle Seahawks opened NFC West play today, facing the San Francisco 49ers on the road. Seattle needed a win to avoid falling to 1-3 and climb out of the basement of the NFC West. Russell Wilson entering the game, 99 career wins, looking for win number 100 at Levi's Stadium. But it would be Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners striking first. After a Seahawks 3-and-out, they drive right down the field. Jimmy G finds Ross Dwelly for the score, and it's 7-0 San Francisco. Seahawks offense would finally wake up in the final 2 minutes of the half. DK Metcalf with the catch and stretches over the goal line. Take another look, may not have gotten in, but the call on the field stands. It's a touchdown. 3rd quarter now, Seattle still tied with San Francisco. Russell Wilson in trouble, but scrambles left. He's got a little room, and he dives in for the end zone. 16-yard score, Seahawks up by 7. Niners would fumble the kickoff 2 plays later and make them pay. More vintage Russ somehow escapes the sack, fires to the end zone. Freddie Swain makes the catch. What a play. Hawks up 14. Niners answer with the score. Seattle trying to close the door, though, in the 4th. Alex Collin somehow finds room and scores from 14 yards out. San Francisco would get a late touchdown, but Seattle would recover the onside kick. They go on to win 28-21 and improve to 2-2. For Russell Wilson, he gets that 100th win of his career and says he's looking forward to the next 100.
I'm excited about the next 100. You know, there's more championships, there's more things we want to do, there's more of this season that we have to do. A guy like Trevor Moawad, you know, even though he's not here anymore, he would say the best is ahead. So that's what I believe, the best is ahead.
All right, so this win huge for Seattle because the Arizona Cardinals marched into SoFi Stadium and beat the LA Rams today. With that, Seattle just a game behind the Rams in the division in third place. Short week for both teams as the Hawks and Rams will face off this coming Thursday night. More football coming up next on SWX Sunday Night. We'll talk college ball and massive wins for Eastern Washington and Washington State. That's coming up next. Welcome back to SWX Sunday Night. The highly anticipated nationally televised football game between Eastern Washington and Montana was as advertised and turned into an instant classic on the Inferno last night. Despite trailing 21-10 in the fourth quarter, the Eagles found a way to fight back, and it started with their defense stepping up in a big way. Eastern's D had a blocked field goal and 2 interceptions in the second half, including one in their own end zone late in the game. This game did come down to the final play when Montana had the ball on the EW 13-yard line with 4 seconds to play, but the pass would fall incomplete in the end zone, and Eastern picks up the 34-28 win, extending their home win streak to 19 games.
I'm pretty damn proud, to be honest, Coulter. Defense is what they hang their hat on. They had their way for some of the game, but not all the game. And I was excited about the fact that they had their defense. We had number 3.
Of course, 3 being EB3, or Eagle quarterback Eric Barrier, who threw for 422 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Montana head coach Bobby Houck had nothing but praise for Barrier.
He's a good player. It's the same thing I've been saying all week. He made more plays with his feet tonight than he has. Good job by him. He showed some real toughness running the ball.
All right, so next up for Montana, they head back home and will host the 0-4 Dixie State Trailblazers next Saturday. Meanwhile, Eastern back on the road. They'll head to Northern Colorado to take on the Bears. Both games kick off at noon. Meanwhile, the Washington State Cougars are back in the win column after an impressive win at Cal yesterday. The Cougar defense was unreal Saturday. They allowed a touchdown on their first offensive drive and then not a single point for the rest of the game. Washington State held Cal under 300 total yards of offense, forced a turnover, and held the Golden Bears to converting just 3 of 15 on third down. It's a performance head coach Nick Rolovich is thrilled with.
For this whole team to stay together through everything they've been through, we're getting closer, and the bust through that level of finishing the game, I think, is very important for this program and for this season.
Cougs don't have long to enjoy the win, though. They have to get ready for a 4-1 Oregon State team next Saturday. The Beavers will come to Pullman. Kickoff set for 1 o'clock. The Beavers secured the 4-1 record yesterday when they beat the Washington Huskies 27-24 at the buzzer. The Dogs rallied in the fourth to take a 7-point lead, but then allowed a touchdown and to tie and a field goal to win as time expired. It was the first time Oregon State beat the Huskies since 2011. All right, back in the Big Sky, the Idaho Vandals almost had the conference on upset alert, nearly beating undefeated UC Davis. The Vandals led by 7 entering the fourth quarter, but allowed 14 unanswered points from the Aggies to close the game. We're not quite done with college football on SWX Sunday Night. Up next, Cole Johnson will have highlights of Central Washington's upset victory over North Midwestern State. That's coming up next. Welcome back. The Spokane Chiefs opened up the 2021-22 regular season slate against the Tri-City Americans last night. The Ams got the best of their rivals, picking up a 5-3 win. Less than 24 hours later, the Chiefs were back on the ice for their second game in as many nights. Spokane hosting the Everett Silvertips, looking to bounce back from last night's loss. First period, no score, but Everett on the power play. Ronan Seeley's shots wide, but his teammates are there for the rebound. Jackson Brzezowski is able to sneak it past Mason Bopit for the game's first goal, 1-0 Silvertips. later in the period. Chiefs with a big opportunity. Bear Hughes with a one-on-one. But the post ball's native shot knocked away by the right skate of the Everett netminder. Still 1-0. Less than a minute later, the Silvertips are in business. Ben Hammerling passes back to Jacob Wright, who shoots and scores. Everett takes a 2-0 lead. Spokane would battle back to tie things at 3, but Everett wins it in overtime. 4-3 the final. And earlier in the show, we told you the Arizona Cardinals stayed undefeated by beating the LA Rams. Here's how it went down. Second quarter, Kyler Murray back to throw, finds Max Williams. Arizona takes the lead. Jump to the third, suddenly it's a 2-score game. And you can't forget it after that touchdown. Arizona thumps Los Angeles in the Rams' house. They win and now lead the NFC West. They are a perfect 4-0. Remember, a big matchup between the Seahawks and Rams next week or on Thursday. And the Niners playing the Cardinals. Standings could get shaken up here in just about a week. That's going to do it for us on SWX. See you next time.